Gentlemen, it's an absolute honour to be joined with you once again. Today I'm going to be talking about countries around the world that you could go to as a US citizen in order to escape the United States. No matter where you stand on the fake political aisle here, whether you are left wing, right wing, centre, whatever it is, the US, in many people's opinions, is heading in the wrong direction. And if you are someone who agrees with that statement that the US might not be going the way you want it to, maybe you want to go elsewhere, maybe to a country that might be better long term than the US, maybe you monumentally hate what Donald Trump is doing currently as President of the United States, maybe you are a big Trump supporter, but you're not too sure what will happen in the future. It doesn't really matter here because you know my views on this. I believe that if you think a ship is sinking, I personally wouldn't stay on the sinking ship. I'd get on a lifeboat and find shelter elsewhere. And there are many countries around the world that are very accommodating to US citizens. Also some countries as well that a lot of people advertise as being quite good options for US citizens that in reality aren't really that good options. So today we'll be breaking down some good countries that might be worth visiting and also some countries that I personally wouldn't recommend going to if I was personally a US national. So thankfully this list of countries, they're very global, they're very well diversified here. Obviously, one of the first ones I'd recommend, maybe because it's directly in the region, would be the country of Mexico. Now, Mexico is America's neighbor, and especially if you are earning money online or doing something like that, you could go to Mexico. Especially a lot of people in the United States have Mexican ancestry. A lot of people are dual Mexican American citizens, so you could go to Mexico. Mexico is a bit of a different culture than the United States. So there's an argument to be made about safety, but it depends upon where you go, of course, and it also depends why you want to leave the United States. But if you want to stay in the same time zone, something like that, Mexico would be a good option. Naturally, if you are on the east coast of the US, any Caribbean countries, they are quite difficult to move to, in honesty. A lot of people are advertising for citizenship by investment programs, but in order to just move there, unless you are retiring or something like that, move into a country like St. Kitts and Nevis isn't the easiest thing in the world. It isn't monumentally impossible, but it isn't the easiest thing either. So time zone wise, those are some pretty good options, right? You've got Mexico, some Caribbean countries, way down in South America naturally. You've got Argentina, very popular among people wanting to move to South America. I'd say Argentina is probably the most popular one. Brazil isn't that popular in my eyes. Chile isn't either. Uruguay is a bit, but Uruguay's a bit more exclusive. Paraguay is starting to build up their popularity a little bit. They still have some issues regarding Paraguayan citizenship, Uruguayan citizenship, but you've got these options too. In fact, the majority of these Central American countries or South American countries, Panama, Costa Rica, all these would be very good if you are a US citizen, maybe with a Latin American background, but even if you want to be the gringo, right, it doesn't matter, and you want to stay in the same time zone. If I was thinking, okay, I'm a US national, I'm willing to learn Spanish, of course, that's a bare minimum if I'm not learning it already. I want to go somewhere to South America. Maybe that's where I would go because it is in the same time zone, of course. And of course, South America, the far deep south of America, Argentina, Chile, countries like that, they're very good for plan B options in case anything crazy happens in the northern hemisphere. In Europe, of course, you've got countries like Italy. There's a lot of US citizens who have Italian ancestry. You get an Italian citizenship. It's relatively easy. They are making it a bit more difficult now, even if you are a US citizen, only a citizen of any country, and you have Italian ancestry. They are making it a little bit more difficult. It used to be very, very open. They are restricting it now a little bit, but Italy is still a very open option, and of course, it's an EU passport. This isn't to say that Italy is the best place to move to. This is to say that if I was someone who's an American citizen who wanted to diversify into Europe, and I had easy access to get Italian citizenship, I'd definitely see if I could get it, because then I wouldn't just have to live in Italy, I could live anywhere in the European Union or the non-EU Schengen area countries, which is very good, it's very attractive. So with an Italian passport, you could go to Switzerland, you could go to Portugal, you could go to Greece, you could go anywhere you want. You could go to Hungary if you want to, maybe you want something a little bit more east of Europe, maybe you want something a little bit more conservative, something like that. Hungary might be a good option there for Italian citizens. I wouldn't actually recommend Hungary for US citizens because Hungary and the US don't have a tax treaty with each other. So a lot of people do purport that Hungary is a great option for US nationals. I actually disagree with that because they don't have a tax treaty with each other, which is of course a major issue if we know anything about US tax systems and that. Having not having a tax treaty with another country that you're living in, absolute major nightmare there. So Hungary I wouldn't personally recommend for that reason. And then also their citizenship is fairly hard as well if you want to diversify your passport portfolio. Yes, they do have a golden visa program that could equate to citizenship, but Hungarian citizenship is very difficult to get. So I personally wouldn't recommend Hungary for those few reasons if I was personally a US national looking to diversify into Europe. But Italy is a very good option there. Also, another major one, of course, you've got Ireland, best passport in the world in my eyes. There is not one passport out there that defeats it. Honestly, the Irish passport is the best in the world. And again, it isn't to say that you have to live in Ireland, so that you could get the Irish passport. Go there every now and then, of course, out of sign of respect and everything else. Maybe you could live in another country. You could live in Spain with an Irish passport, something like that. Wherever you want to live, maybe like the Nordic Scandinavian countries. You could live in Norway, Sweden, Finland with an Irish passport. You could live anywhere you want in the EU or the non-EU Schengen area states with an Irish passport too as well. So the Irish passport is actually very attractive. A lot of people are getting Irish citizenship from the US who want to escape the US, and I can certainly understand why. Now, personally, whether I'd want to escape the US or not, I'd also want to get Irish citizenship. Even though I don't want to escape from anywhere, I want to get the Irish passport as well. It genuinely is that good. So that is arguably, I'd say, the most popular one in Europe, honestly. Probably the most logical one too. Ireland, again, a lot of American citizens have Irish ancestry, so then that Irish passport is a very clever option. And now on to the countries that I personally wouldn't recommend. We've already gone over some here. We've gone over Hungary and places like that. Hungary, although it is a very traditional conservative society, I personally wouldn't necessarily go to Hungary, even if I was a US citizen looking to diversify into Europe, because no tax treaty with the US. Citizenship is fairly difficult. The language, if you are learning it for the first time, is going to be fairly difficult for you as well, because it really isn't like anything else. So that isn't a major issue in my eyes. But Hungary I wouldn't necessarily recommend as well. It also isn't the most self-employed, business-friendly culture in the world. This is a major issue that I have, not just with Hungary, but a lot of European countries, where Europe in general has a mentality the majority of times. You always find those gems out and about, but the majority of times, and amongst many European countries, the Europeans in general here are willing to tear you down in order to make you not more successful than them. It's very prevalent among many European countries, which I don't really like the European mindset. Honestly, that is a major issue that needs to be worked on. Not everyone is like this. I'm European. I'm not like this. A lot of people I know are also European. They're not like this. I don't engage with people who are like this, whether they are European or not. That is a major issue. The European mentality is not one that I necessarily agree with, and it really does like tearing you down in order to make themselves feel better. So that's why I personally wouldn't necessarily recommend a country like Hungary. Hungary isn't the worst one in this case. The UK has this too. I wouldn't recommend the UK either. A lot of people go to the UK saying, I'm going to escape the US by going to the UK. I'm going to go back to the empire. Something like that. Again, the UK I wouldn't necessarily recommend, in all honesty. It's just not a place that I'd recommend. To be honest, you have some other countries as well. Germany as well. Like, Germany could be good, but Austria is better. So that's kind of the major issue there. Like, why go to Germany when Austria or Switzerland, for that matter, they're right there. Let me know where you are thinking of going if you are a US national looking to escape the United States. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, be sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Hopefully see you in the next one. But until then, eternal victory to the free people.